Hey everybody, this is Foolscap again, and we're back for the next segment of our Minecraft server administration videos. The last video I did last week kind of showed you just how to do a basic vanilla plain Jane server. But assuming that most of you guys have played Minecraft for a little bit of time, the main Minecraft, the plain stuff, can get a little dull, and some of the admin features are lacking, kind of cumbersome. So you're going to eventually have your people clamoring for new features, new plugins, new updates, and that's where you can kind of look at other server modifications. The big ones are Bukkit. That is the big one. I guess there's still like a sub-cult following for HMod. I don't think, last I checked, I'm not really in the loop, but last I checked they didn't have the original builders anymore. It was kind of like, kind of ad-lib. People were putting test builds out. It wasn't really strongly supported. There's also MCMyAdmin, which if you're running, I think if it's under 8 people on your server, you can use it for free. Over 8 people, you have to pay for a license. So those are other options. Personally, I think comparatively, Bukkit's just the way to go. I use it. Most server admins use it. It's a lot of features. It's got a huge mod development community doing plugins. So let's just assume though you've had the vanilla server running for a while. If you guys recall from last time, we have a little. Why is my mouse flickering? What is up with that? Okay, that's better. So let's assume that you've had the vanilla server for a week or two, but your players are getting restless. Okay, listen, Foolscap, we're bored. I want to be able to teleport around and summon objects and do crazy commands and have an economy system and maybe just a little more depth to the game. And they convince you to go and upgrade the server and to get Bukkit. So we're kind of trying to go through that thought process. I don't pre-script any of this, so if I fumble, it's all real. It's just as a server admin, you're gonna screw up. You can plan all you want, but things happen. So if you're gonna get into Bukkit, place to go is bukkit.org. This is as close to a real coding project as you're going to get for obviously for a free item. These guys put out builds constantly. That's the first thing we're going to look at is the builds. So you're going to download the actual the newest recommended build. Where I just clicked right there. They use Jenkins, some kind of change management tool where you can look and see all the different versions that are out. What was successful, what wasn't. These little red dots are failed builds. If I understand correctly, it's a failed compilation. When they compile Craft Bukkit, it includes Bukkit and all the different sub-Bukkit compartments. All this is pretty much over the average person's head for this stuff. What you need to know is that every couple of builds, they do what they call a recommended build. And if you look here, there's links, last build that was stable, successful, but you want the recommended promotion build because that's one that they've tested and know that for the most part it works. The rest of these builds, while they might be blue as a successful build, they haven't been validated. They haven't been long-term tested. There could be malicious code, even though it's a pretty up-and-up organization. There's multiple developers who work together. Somebody could slip some shit in there, stealing your data, stealing your information if they wanted to, backdoor access to your server, whatever the case may be. So it's really, I think, in the end, it's just easier to just go with the most recommended build and update when Bukkit updates. Otherwise, plugin developers, they base them off these builds as well, and it's just, to me, it's easier. I used to just pull random builds back in the day, and crashes, rollbacks, plugins stopped working. So in my mind, it's always easier to go with recommended build. So let's say again, back to the start page here. Tells you in the corner the most recent recommended build, as well as changes it when you hover over. Excuse me. So 818 is the most recommended. We're gonna check that one out here. If you recall with the old server, we were running an actual executable file to launch our server, and we're gonna assume again like port forwarding and all that was in the previous video. One of my dudes, Beer Hunter, had a response video showing a website I wasn't aware of, but it will tell you like port forwarding instructions for like every router out there. Really nice. Thanks a lot, Beer, for making that video. So if you guys have any more port forwarding issues, I don't want to get into it. I fucking detest networking. I can do it, I just don't like it. So it was a pretty cool walkthrough he's got there, pretty advanced. So you guys can check that out. Anyway, so let's say again that you have a server already in place, kind of. If you want to keep your world, that's fine. I definitely, you should be doing backups as it is. If not, now you can copy it and place it somewhere else, whatever the case may be. I would do a new directory. Just again, keep things clean, and I would just call it like Bukkit Minecraft server. Bang. So what you want to do here is download this lovely Craft Bukkit snapshot jar file. Alright, we can even back up 1 second. Bukkit has really nice forums. Everything I'm telling you here, you can actually bypass this whole video. You go figure it out yourself in the forums. There's even some other videos already out there. It's kind of separate, separated here, but really what you want is Bukkit help. Boom. They tell you some. Read this first. How to do it. The basics. How to plug and how to install. Again, I tell you different. The difference is what's released. This is still, I think, like a beta product. It's not fully released yet. Read, learn, enjoy. I mentioned before, all these videos that I make, they're kind of like, you can get it all yourself over the internet. So, but here we go. Sorry about the rattling ice. It's my lovely alcoholic drink. If I cut off in the middle of this video, I apologize, but we're in a thunderstorm warning and the winds and stuff's picking up, so I'm bouncing all over the place as usual. Those of you who watch my videos know that I can't focus very well. Anywho, so let me just give you a look at I have my server just for reference, as I kind of forget myself. I haven't done a fresh install in so long. Alright, yeah. So one of the things you're going to want to do is have a startup script. Since you're not actually running the server anymore, again, my directory is a cluttered mess. I should delete some of this stuff, but Bukkit will download all the necessary Minecraft files you need. So you don't have to download through the server first or anything like that. But you do need something to launch this jar file, and that's where it's a simple Windows batch file, right? If I edit this in Notepad, I don't want to run it. I want to. Yeah, that's fine. It's simple. It's 2 lines. It kind of just differentiates between having a 64-bit operating system or a 32-bit. That's all it is. So it's an if statement. If your processor architecture is 64-bit, launch it with this path. This is just a Windows 64-bit version. And then what this is right here is you're allocating a minimum and maximum memory for Java, the Java instance. Now, I believe you can go higher with these numbers. I don't know what the cap is for Java. I've tried to up it on mine. My server has like 6 gig. I tried raising this to 2 gig even, and I get some iffy, weird errors. So if there's an expert out there, maybe they can, explain to me what I'm missing here and stuff. I said I'm not the expert with this stuff. I copied this from the help page, and it's pretty useful. But you're telling me how much memory to allocate, as well as the name of the actual executable jar file to launch, which is the Craft Bukkit jar file. I'm going to pause this for 1 quick second because I think we should do a server backup fast here. Hold on, guys. Sorry about this. Alright, we're back. Sorry. I've asked my wife politely to do a server backup because the sky is starting to flash. So, again, back to where I was. So, this, if I recall, was out on the Bukkit, the wikis. Where were we at here? I thought it was out here. I haven't been to this part of the forums for a while, but I thought they had maybe not. Let's go to the Bukkit wiki. How about that? No, back up. So look, I'm like, there it is. There's a link here for setting up a server, and it tells you right here. This is where I kind of copied some of these. In the forums, we switch around. There's more, for Linux, Mac, different things. It tells you kind of the operating systems to run. Everything's already out, like I said. This is, just gotta look for it. Right. So, with that being said, close this file out. So, you would create this in Notepad, just save it as start.bat or whatever you want to call it. As long as it's a .bat file, it's fine. And I usually just pop a shortcut of that bat file onto my desktop somewhere to run. It's real simple. So when that runs, it's going to look for this Craft Bukkit 001 snap jar file. So you have to actually download that, obviously. So back to the main Bukkit page here, and we click that link in the corner for the recommended build, which pop this up. Right here, you click on this, it'll prompt you to download. Yeah, we'll save it. It's all good. Shouldn't take very long. Come on, you can do it, buddy. I have no idea how big that file is.
Turn the thing off. The water slide.
Oh, yeah. I'm pausing 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. Nasty storm outside. My kid's water slide still had the like fan attached to it, so had to brave the rain and pull it all inside. We're back. You don't care about that. So we just downloaded the jar file for Craft Bukkit, and I'm just gonna go back to that wiki site and use just going off their instructions there. Let's go ahead and just copy this. This machine is, I think, 64-bit. Double check real fast. Yeah, it is. So, come on, copy. Seriously? There we go. Copy that, and we'll run Notepad. We'll paste this into here. There's no comment here that says if you're running 32-bit model. I'm not sure what Java I'm running. I can go look. Let's see here. Are we in x86 for Java? We are. We'll change that then. That's fine. You hear that thunder? It's wicked awesome. Gonna lose power tonight. Oh yeah. So let's change that out. Cool. And we want to save this off into the directory we made there, which got this Bukkit directory. We're going to call this start.bat. It's fine. Change it to all files. So use this extension, save it, and boom, we're all set. So if you go in here, there's your batch file to start up. Now, really, it should be that simple. This should actually launch the server. It'll download everything you need and run things up. If you wanted to use your previous world file, say you already have vanilla server, you can copy that world folder right into here, paste it, you're good to go. In this case, though, let's run it and see what happens. It might vomit. Nope. I'm an idiot. That's why. The file that I downloaded needs to be in that same directory. Duh. Alright, try again. It wants access, yes, awesome. It's vomiting because it couldn't access stuff, so. All these files, similar to when you ran the vanilla server, these files, it looks for them, can't find them, it creates them. Same thing. Populated in here. You see a couple more files than you would have seen in the vanilla server, the Bukkit YML. A couple of differences. So, let's just finish up here. Notice that we have world and world nether. Awesome. Awesome. So, come on, you can do it. I'm so impatient, sorry. So Bukkit by itself, just doing what we did right now and running the Bukkit shell, doesn't give you a whole lot of extra commands by itself. It gives you a shell that allows for a ton of plugins, and that's what we're looking for. That's where all the functionality, the depth, the really cool mods, those all come into play there. So, server's up and running, boom. If you had your ports forwarded already, you can tell your friend, take a reconnect, they can log back in, nothing's changed. I shouldn't say nothing's changed. Things have changed. So if we, I think we have all the same commands from the previous video on here. A couple of exceptions. Let's see here. We can. Nope, all the same. Who am I kidding? So nothing really new added yet. So let's go ahead and just stop this bad boy for the moment. Let's see what we got to play with. Normally I would do a save all first, but nothing's changed, right? So the Bukkit YML file. If we all these YML files, open them in WordPad, that's fine. You can keep, yeah, that's all good. So YML is a real bitch. It's white case specific. If I change these are all spaces. If I change that to a tab or add an extra space like that, right, whatever, do anything to that, it will vomit at you. There is something you should probably bookmark if you're going to deal with Bukkit plugins. There's a lot of the plugins use YML. If you would do a search for a YML parser, this one right here, first result, very nice. All this will tell you is if your stuff will parse properly and run through the editor. Copy and paste it in there, then hit Control Enter. As long as you have output, that's great. But let's say that I just, you know what? We'll tab that bitch instead. And change it to a tab. Control Enter again. You're gonna work just to spite me, aren't you? Boom. One missing space, right? Vomits. So it's very, very white space sensitive. It's a great thing to have a bookmark. Like I said, you're gonna have all kinds of configuration files that are all done on YML. It's very popular with Bukkit. So back to the server here. This is the fun part, right? A lot of these plugins work off either a flat file being just a text file, or a database. You've got SQLite and MySQL. It's a whole separate video. When it comes to like installing and configuring that, whole separate video, which I'll probably have to do. If not, maybe somebody can make one or reference it. I had to teach myself it. I have a little bit of database experience, but it's a lot of trial and error setting things up. In this case, I think SQLite already comes from the system. I could be wrong about that. I think it would have vomited me if I didn't have it, so yeah, it must be already be on here. Anyway, for now I'm not going to worry about that. We're not changing anything here. I haven't touched this file yet on my server. This is all kind of just overhead stuff that you can probably skip it. Don't save. So what you want and what you're probably here for at all is the plugins, the mods. Close that out. We're done with that. We're done setting up the server. I can stay up for the moment. So back to that forums. In the Bukkit forums, this whole section here is for developers, right? All the guys, they make their plugins, they post them out there, they take feedback from the users, and they tweak them and they re-upload them. This right here, this link for get plugins, is like a plugin list, whatever's current. I come here and look at it. Right now, we're looking at all the plugins, right? Uncategorized. Everything's in here. There's a lot. There's a lot of plugins, right? They kind of sort them by category: mechanics, chat, admin fun, teleportation, information, editing. These are a lot of these overlap, multiple ones, right? When you first come through here, you're like a kid in a candy store. There's 1,000 things to look at. One of the first things that I would probably tell you to look for, one of the big ones, is some kind of admin tools, right? Look on the admin stuff here. Again, a lot of stuff, but there's a couple ones that kind of go over the core. I use Essentials, right? This covers everything. There's a couple. I'm sure the other ones that are out there. Essentials. I have to look. I use Essentials, so I'm gonna focus on that one. So I think these guys have a pretty good product here. Well, Essentials, this is a collection of multiple what used to be separate plugins, right? They've got one that works for your chat, so it changes the chat colors. They've got one that works for teleportation, one that works for the economy if you want to use it. And there's a lot of features to it, but with that being said, the Essentials is a little tricky. There's a lot of things listed in here. They have their own permission system, all kinds of stuff. I use these guys, like I said. If you were to search through here, you can find other plugins that do a lot of the same things. If I wanted something to deal with like admin, so what do we have here? There's another one. I can't think of what the fuck it's called. I'm sorry. Kiwi admin, for instance, kick, temp, ban, unban. Some of the commands a little more easy for you. You have to look through. There's like could be a couple hundred plugins in here. So Essentials is the one that I use for my server, and Essentials is probably the plugin that if you're going to install anything, it's going to be the most confusing. Dealing with permissions and dealing with all these interacting, this is kind of a nightmare. Things can break very easily. In this case, though, we're just going to dive into it. The best way to learn is break stuff. well, not really the best way, but there's a lot of information in here. They got links to their own Essentials wiki, change logs, versions, yada yada yada. Normally they'll tell you in here, and most plugins follow the same format. If you look in the title, for instance, you have the section of the plugins it falls under. In this case, general, security, economy, teleportation, admin. Those are the range of commands it covers. There's a lot of commands. It's a lot of stuff. Then you have the plugin name, the version number they're currently on, a little blurb, what it does. And 818. This tells you the latest version of Bukkit it's built against. So back to here, we downloaded our crap bucket jar with 818. If you go back to the home Bukkit page, that's what we downloaded, right? 818. So a lot of times you'll have like a really cool plugin you'll find, but it's it's on version 7.4.2 still. And when Bukkit updates, a lot of times the commands that these things reference might change. So older plugins will sometimes break. It's one of the reasons I'll say avoid using the temp builds, because these plugin developers haven't upgraded their plugins yet because it's not recommended. Anyway, let's just hop in here though. We're using 818 or greater, so it also tells you what version that's for, Minecraft 1.6. So we should use Essentials 2.3. Click on that and it will download for you. And again, like, there's probably people going, oh my god, I use this different plugin development, I heard this is better. Fine, do whatever you want. Watching this video will give you kind of overarching look at how to make plugins work together, but it's like 1,000 plugins. Some of them require like third-party programs you got to install. The range and scope of things that you could possibly cover is way beyond this video, so I'm just going to do a little like quick and dirty stuff here, right? So we've downloaded that. One of the things you want to go to when you're looking at the essential stuff is they have a link. Where did they put it? The download installation guide. Very helpful. In here it tells you what each subcomponent of the plugin is and the commands they reference, right? So we had the archive. We got all the plugins together, which is the core essentials, the protection plugin, the spawn jar, which lets you change your spawn point, the chat, which it's similar to iChat. You can change the colors for like titles for players and stuff. Group manager is your permissions, and then group bridge, which I don't know what that does. Anyway, though, somewhere in here, config tutorial. Again, great to go. It tells you what to change the config files. As far as like ops name colors, and just there's a lot to this stuff. And like I said, if I was you and you're doing this, set aside a couple hours to plug through all this. A lot to cover. This video probably won't even do it justice, but I can't teach you everything. I'm just going to give you the basics of how things work. Once you learn how to deal with a config file, a YML file for one plugin, you can kind of figure out how to get into other plugins and do something similar, And in the end, if it comes down to it, all these, like Essentials, they have their own IRC channel. You can talk to the devs. You can post in the thread. They support their own products, They're a whole team of people as well. So, the other awesome thing here is the command guide. This is what I'm talking about. If you want to know what Essentials does, for instance, please open. This tells you everything that Essentials will do for you. So in the main jar, you get your help, right? Players will see available commands to them by doing /help. If they're not an op, for instance, they won't see commands that ops can do. Then you have signs. On my server, for instance, I have signs set up to give free items that act as an endless chest, pulls from the server. Disposal signs, heal signs, all kinds of stuff, right? So it tells you the command they can use, and it tells you the permission node you have to add into your permissions file, which I'll get into later, but just remember that they're in here. Every plugin will list typically the permission nodes. So what else? The economy. I haven't played with the economy on Essentials. I use the actual iConomy plugin, which is supported by multiple other developers. All these commands, again, configurable. You can remove them, you can block them out, you can, if you don't want your players to use something like jump, which I've blocked on my server, you can remove it completely. Let's report back to where you died. World, you can shift worlds. Teleportation, TP here. Home and set home, very useful. Players can have their own warp points with home and set home. You can have actual warp points as well. Set warp, delete warp. There's a lot of stuff in here to cover. Social ones like messaging, AFK / rules, very helpful. List players online, in-game mail, help op. If you're a big server, this is probably nice. A player can do a help op, and any op online can get a pop-up saying, "Hey, this jackass can't figure out how to cut trees or something," you know. Um, it's a huge list. Spawning mob. These are the fun ones. The admin commands. This is what's going to make your life easier if you're running a server, right? Essentials. This lets you reload the configuration. Memory stuff. I don't use it a whole lot online, but spawning mobs, clear inventory. If Jimmy is collecting TNT and he shouldn't be, you can get rid of it. Some of these are just dangerously fun. Antioch throws a live TNT block. Wow, it's fun, but it's dangerous. You can burn players if they're being dumbasses. You can extinguish them. /kill, ping, nuke, you will die. All kinds of fun stuff. Banning. So some of these things we already had in the vanilla server, right? Some of the commands, but this just makes them easier and less cumbersome. For instance, in the vanilla server, I could spawn an item, for instance, right? I could do an item spawning, but I had to do like /give, bool's cap, item number, and then the amount, right? Kind of cumbersome. With this, if I want to give myself a stack of glowstone, I can do /I space glowstone 64, boom, done. So with the /I for item will default to you. If you don't list the person, defaults to yourself. And then if you don't default an amount, it gives you 1. So if I want a pickaxe /I pickaxe, boom, it knows it's me. It knows to do only 1. It's a lot, again, easier, convenient, and it lets you reference items. One of the things that that these plugins will put out there is like a reference database. So when I do glowstone, it hits that database and checks for something called glowstone. I might call it glowstone. I might have it referenced in there as lightstone as well. Different players, different names for it. But it'll reference that, and it will know that is item number 64 or something, whatever the case may be. I think 64 is actually TNT. Sorry. So then it cheats time day. Instead of doing time like /number we saw earlier in the vanilla server, time day, time night, boom, done. You can spawn trees. That's nice if you're populating areas, and then big trees as well. God mode. And this is the fun ones too. You want to make thunder, lightning, all that good stuff. You can put those in there. You can zap players, whatever. So a lot of commands in one plugin. This just makes running the server a whole lot easier. 3/4 of the commands on my server come from this right here. Anyways, we've downloaded it, right? Getting back to the meat and potatoes here. I'm babbling too much. Sorry, guys. So, boom. We download files. They're right here. It's a zip file. When you download a plugin, a couple will be in zip format, and they'll include multiple jar files or a jar and a config file. Others are just like this, are just blank jar files, right? In this case, we're going to go ahead. In your Bukkit directory, you have a plugin server, which should be empty to start. And we're going to take these lovely files and just drop them in there. I usually also throw a folder in here, and I just call it like either disabled or old or obsolete. I do that for testing. I do it if I think a plugin might be causing like lag, memory loss. Some of the plugins aren't done. I could do a plugin tomorrow if I wanted to. Any schmo can make a plugin, so they're not always coded like perfectly, which means it could, cause memory loss. It could have performance consequences. But if you want to test things out, I put it in there so I don't lose it. So these jar files don't get read in to the server until you actually run the server. When the server launches, it scans this plugin folder and activates stuff. There is a way to do it while it's running, but for the most part, especially on these first ones, I'd rather just do a clean run. I could do more plugins right now too, but especially being that Essentials is so complex, I'd rather run it by itself. So once you run the server, it'll scan these plugins in, and then it'll create all these subfolders in here for each plugin with their configuration files, which is kind of cumbersome because you have to actually run it and then stop the server again, and then go configure stuff, which is kind of a pain in the ass. Hello, stop. What can you do? So back to my server here, we have the start. We'll run it again. It comes through, it's finding stuff, great. It tells you what what version of Craft Bukkit is running and what version of Minecraft that's against. Has the world file, boom, and now it's creating This is also where you're going to see your error messages on startup. It's creating a config file from, boom. These are all your config files being created. Author credits. Downloading the Geo IP database, which you can turn this off. It's kind of nice for troubleshooting. I think I mentioned before, like on my server, when guys log in, I can see where they're from. And I know most of my players. I know, I have Jonk's from the UK, for instance, and if tomorrow Jonk logs in from California, I'm going to raise an eyebrow and think that maybe someone stole his account information or has duped his name. It's a little more security. But some players might be creeped out that you know what city they're in. So it's your own call, I guess, if you want to have that up or not. Everything else is pretty standard. Fake permissions. Permissions was an actual real plugin developed for HMod originally, re-imported for Bukkit, and then I think it stopped being developed for a while. All these plugins were relying upon it, so they have something called fake permissions that is what Group Manager kind of uses against. I can't really explain it, I'm sorry. So we rebranded these files are all created. We're going to stop it again. And why? Because typically I don't advise trying to alter these files while the server's up and running, because sometimes the servers it's a lock on the files, whatever the case may be. It's easier if you turn it off. You can get around it sometimes, but at this point, no one's on our server, so why risk it? So inside here, the first one you want to look at is the Essentials folder. And this has a whole bunch of crap. Pardon me. Config YML is your first one. Again, YML file. It's already set to open in WordPad. Be very careful. Do not. It wouldn't even hurt you to make a backup. Rename it, copy and rename it, whatever. In here, it's pretty well documented, but they make the same things. Don't tab, indent correctly. Keep that white space set up, and use the YML checker. Otherwise, you will botch your whole system. So here we've got color codes. For your ops, if you want them to be a different color name, you put a color code in. These are ANSI color codes, or I'm sorry, hex color codes, I think. You're looking, going, what the hell is C? I think it's red, actually. You come out here and do a search. Again, Google, lovely Google. Do a search on Minecraft, Bukkit, color codes. Not even Bukkit for that matter. Do images though, and one comes up. I lied. Take out the Bukkit word Bukkit. This is the one I use. Do a search here. One of the first links you get back right here. Awesome. It lists them all out here. Full size image, same size. But you can look here and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, A, B, C, D, E, F. Those are your color codes. And C is indeed red. So right now your admins would have a red name. I think they logged on with that. That's good to bookmark that one and your Minecraft data values. Good things to bookmark, right? So for now, that's fine. Now, this isn't, those of you guys who know my server, this will look a little different because my server is heavily modified with other, older plugins. I'm not just running Essentials, so don't flip out if you're trying to emulate mine. It looks different because I have other plugins that override some of this. My ops aren't red. I have things that override this file at points, so that's kind of hit or miss. Certain plugins will conflict because they're both trying to do the same thing to Minecraft, so some have to have precedence. A lot of that is just trial and error. It's not a science. It's kind of an art making it all work, I don't use nicknames on my server. We have true usernames. If you want to do nicknames, it's your thing. But this tells you, you can prefix it with a tilde if you're using a bullshit name. I don't allow that to happen. Cooldown between these commands. If you don't want your guys spamming in and out, teleporting, put a cooldown. I don't have one. I keep it as default. Same thing with the delay default. All these are all, self-explanatory for the most part. This one I've changed though. Just because so often I'll spawn a diamond pickaxe or somebody who's doing work for me on the server. I don't want to leave a number off and by default give them a stack of diamond or something. I'd rather default to 1 just to be safe. If I want to give them a full stack, I'll type it in. You know what I mean? That's just me though. And then this is a blacklist, so if you don't want them to have TNT, you don't want them spawning certain items, you can put it in here and they cannot spawn them. For the most part, I advocate that if you're making a player a moderator in your server, you should trust them and back them up until they give you a reason not to. So I don't blacklist stuff. I've made it clear that I don't like guys having boxes of TNT, but at the same time, no one's griefing with it. And again, it's if you're nervous about it, block it out. But I think that you should show some trust to your players. Don't give out moderator status willy-nilly. Make sure you have an idea as the players mature. It has a track list of making some decent choices. It's my little rant. Permission based. I'm not to keep it off for now. You can do it later if you want to, but I don't have that running on mine either. This is nice though. I use this on mine. I think it helps a bit. I haven't really tested long-term performance on versus off. What this does is whenever a player connects early, if you recall in the last video, watching the vanilla server, when a player connected, it made a new thread for that player, which is just a Java memory thread. What this will do is when that player logs out, it'll reclaim that lost memory and reallocate to the system that you're using. I use it on mine. My players, and they log in and log out anywhere from 15 to 100 meg for a player. So I think it's kind of useful, but again, I'm not gonna say use it that you have to just because I haven't done like long-term testing. It might be much better. Much better without. I keep mine on though. I think it helps a little bit. Primitive spawn protection. By default, Minecraft blocks 16 blocks in a radius around the spawn point that nobody can do stuff in. I say that to be false. Again, that was first created so players couldn't grief. A new player joins your server, they log in, they instantly start breaking stuff at the spawn. This made them move away from it a little bit. If they're gonna grief, they're gonna grief. I'm not sure what that's really gonna help. Oh, it's you, Cass. Sorry. My dog. Sorry. So nether settings. Up to you. I think we. This. I'm sorry. Let me back up. This asks whether you're gonna be able to. This is weird. So it shouldn't be enabled, but yet it created another. That's weird. Never mind. Of course, I created another world. That's Minecraft creating that, not not Bukkit. So for this, I probably had that turned off. I think by default now 1.66 Minecraft already has enabled the Nether, so I would probably leave that disabled for now. Mob spawn limit. I would probably not give your admins even the ability to spawn mobs. It's too tempting to mess around with, and you enter an extra 0 or something, you got a real big problem because those spawn mobs all take resources. You can lag your server really fast. So 10's fine. I wouldn't even give them the permissions though. Warn on smite shoot, yeah, that's fine. If you're zapping people, they should know they screwed up. So this is the fun stuff. Message of the day. This is what players see when they first connect to your server. I use this to announce like contests, competitions, promotions, and people, anything important, So like mine, I think tells like my forum address and stuff. Welcome. This is a placeholder. So it says welcome. Fool's cap. If that's who's connected, it tells them to type. And again, these prefaces right here. The ampersand within these YML files prefaces a color code. So in red it says welcome, comma, player name. I think player name ends up turning back to white, or the default color is for Minecraft. I think it's white. So yeah, in white, let's say. Well, we can look and see actually if you want to see how it's translated. Let's server's not running. I'll show you in a second actually. So welcome, player name. Again, all these things that are seen in prefaces. And the color codes differentiate words if you want to emphasize things. So type help in red, and then back to F, which is yellow, white. Sorry. Type help list commands currently online, and it lists all the players. So these are held values. If you look back in the Bukkit wiki, in the config tutorial, I think it is, they tell you in here what some of the placeholder values are, if I recall. And I think these are like common to Minecraft in general. Rest of the day. I thought they had something that kind of play around and look. But they should have somewhere in here that tells you what all the French commands are. The one thing you have to realize is that tick marks or apostrophes are reserved to start and stop. So if I wanted to say, um, it's a common screw up, right? Damn it. So let's say I say, don't be a moron. It looks simple and easy. The problem is it reads the first tick, it reads the second tick, and then it flips out because you have not enough open and closed ticks. So to preface, you escape it. Somehow when you have two ticks in a row, it tells it to treat it as one actual grammatical display, not as a reserved, So that's very important. If you're going to have a tick mark, you need to preface it with another tick mark. It's like any escape character in any other coding language. And then the mail. We don't really use mail on mine, but in here, if I play the slash rules, this will list the server rules. Again, you can use color codes in here if you want to watch your tick marks and make sure that when you're adding a new line, you're hitting spacebar. You're not tabbing into it. Spacebar and line it up properly. Boom. You have mail. Check out our forums. Whoop. Yeah. Boom. Oh. Yeah, we're messed up. Easy enough, right? We don't have mail, so we're going to delete that. Again, delete the whole line. Backspace. Keep your white space steady. If things don't work when you run your server, chances are it's a white space. When you save it, it's not going to vomit at you. If you're not checking with the YML parser, you're not going to know. It's going to vomit when you run that server. It's going to start spitting out errors. As soon as that happens, figure out what you've changed, put it in the YML parser, figure out where the error is at, look through. Like I said, little things normally. And then, what else we have in here? This is some new stuff. God. Overridden commands, God mode. So this right here is the important stuff. These are things you can completely disable on the server. I don't want players to use heal. So in this case, get rid of heal and get rid of jump. Boom. That means even if they have permissions, they cannot use it. They're disabled for everybody, including yourself. That's the only caveat. You can't, anybody. It's server-wide disabled. So then you have restricted commands, which are commands only available to ops. Now again, we're going to use the plugin Group Manager for permissions. So I would just ignore this completely. And it tells you right here, if you're using Group Manager permissions, these don't matter. So ignore all this stuff. If you want a simple setup, you don't want to use permissions, you can do it here. You can list what the admins can have and anything else all players get. So it's it's a simplified version, but I think Group Manager is really kind of slick, easy to use once you've configured. And then these are kits. Again, this used to be a separate plugin through kits. Now it's included in here. A player can do, on our server for instance, we had like a newcomer kit. Stone axe, stone pickaxe, stone shovel, stone sword, 2 pork chops, and like 5 torches. The basics. And they can do that every, the delay is in seconds. So, I would make it every 30 minutes, which is 3600 seconds, I think, something like that, whatever the case may be. My ass sucks. You can do anything you want to. The delay could be, 0. You can do it over and over and over. They're going to spam items, but that's fine. Then under it, you have, again, the items, and don't mess your spacing up. The first number is the item code. I believe 277 is a stone pickaxe or something to that effect. Let's go look. Data values 277. Diamond? Jesus Christ, you're a nice admin. So I wouldn't let them have diamond, that's for sure. But you could. Maybe you have players on your server who just work on like community projects. Like in my server, we have those city roads and some of the common areas. And I have guys who are fixing stuff for me. Maybe I have a kit and only they can use it, giving them diamond tools. It's your creativity. You can list out each kit and the properties for who can use it. So a new player, Joe Schmo Jackass, who falls into the default category, might only get to use the stone tools kit, but your top builders who've earned their keep, they get the diamond tools kit. That's your call. I don't have any kits anymore on my server, but we have a whole economy of stores, so it's kind of just disable signs. If you want to, fine. If I use signs of mine, so this will be false for me. It's your call. If you don't want your admins making heal signs and stuff, turn it off. Backup runs the command while saving is disabled. This is new too, the new version of Essentials. So I don't think I even have this turned on in mine. Oops. But that's kind of cool. They're doing backups now. That's awesome. Again, warp permissions. I like to sort by groups, and I actually have this to true for mine. It just lists the players by their either admin or peon, whatever the case may be, by their groups when you do a listing game. This is for debugging. If you want to debug, you want more output coming to your console. The console is the server window that runs on your machine, that DOS window. If you want more information to it, set to true. It'll spit out all kinds of crap for troubleshooting. And okay, this should look and find out your local. Yeah, that's commented out, so I wouldn't bother with that. It should know you're American by your IP address. And so they've changed a lot. I'm sorry, this is actually a lot of new stuff. This is the global essentials commands. Now you're looking at the essentials home commands. This is a /home/spawn commands. And again, I mean, these are all kind of self-explanatory. Bless you. This is your economy commands. I don't use the economy essentials. I use iConomy. It's a whole different bag of tricks. I'll probably do it. 1 second. Sorry about that. And I hope that actually paused properly. But neighbor bought my Xbox. Had some questions. So again, I don't want to read all these. A lot of reading, but you should go through them all. I mean, they're pretty much self-explanatory. You know. Economy, I don't use it, as I said earlier. I use iConomy, a separate plugin. So this, for me, doesn't really matter. I like iConomy because a lot of other plugins have been developed for it to interact with their API. This is kind of interesting, though. This is set to off. Help only show essentials commands. Set to true, you'll see commands for your other plugins. I think it's kind of important. The problem is, keep in mind that the other plugins, all commands are shown. I have a plugin called Kill Steve that only my admins use. If it's not essential, it'll show in the help files for everybody. So you have players going, I don't get it, I can't use the Kill Steve command. You need to explain to them that they're idiots. Well, not idiots, just uninformed. So I like it. I kept those commands to reference myself, but I have like 17 pages of commands on my server, so use it as you will. Essentials chat, again, I don't use this either. I use iChat. I don't know. We don't have iChat on here now, so I guess we'll play with this one for a bit. But this lets you set how far people can talk, and I guess there's like kind of like shouting and then regular global stuff. I haven't played this. I use iChat, so I haven't played with this a whole lot at all. This is the default format. Should be compatible with iChat. Tells you right there, so that's cool. I'll leave that be. We'll get iChat on here in a sec, I suppose. Essentials Protect. This is like your sign, railroad protection stuff. It works kind of like Big Brother or like lightweight chest protection, meaning that if I put a sign as an admin out there, any non-admins, they can't break it, they can't remove it. It's an anti-grief tool. I don't have mine turned on. Actually, I don't need that plugin running. I just don't want it on there. Again, I trust my players. I don't let every person in the world on my server. If you do, that's your own business. Maybe you want to have this stuff on there. In that case, I would suggest getting Big Brother installed and just skipping this altogether. I don't have it running. I don't really care. I haven't tested it, so I can't say it's good or bad. I just, simplify things on my end the way I work. So, it's all protection stuff. And then new players. So the first time someone logs in, you could have like an announcement like, hey, Jackass, you're new, whatever the case may be. And if you have a different spawn point, you can have it just for them. I don't apparently do that either. I haven't updated Essentials in a while, though. My plugins are a little bit old. The server, I haven't gotten these new things on there yet, so I can't attest to all this. I have one spawn for all my players. Easy enough, really. At my spawn, I have signs with the rules and some chests for certain items, things like that. So that's how I run it. So we'll save this bad boy. Good to go. That was just one config file. Like, wow, a lot of stuff, right? Back to our plugins. I did mention that the Protect, I don't use that. I'll put it in there. I don't want to delete it in case maybe something vomits and relies upon it, but for now, get rid of it. GOIP, it's your coffee you want to have, like I said. If you want to see your pleasure from, that's fine. It's me. I mean, I have mine running. It's interesting, but it could be overhead for you. You know, every plugin you have on there takes a little bit more memory out of your server, so it's your call. The important plugin, though, the one we're going to give you, this plugin is going to give you the most headaches, right? This is probably half you're here watching this from series, is the group manager. It is kind of a pain in the ass. So config file, this tells you how often to save the settings. If you have multiple worlds, this I wouldn't even bother. This gets overwritten if you're using the default worlds. I wouldn't even worry about that right now. And all this stuff, again, is in that Essentials wiki, right? You get out there and look. It tells you how to configure this stuff. It tells you, you know, all kinds of section. Everything I just went through, it tells you everything in there. Probably better than I can explain it to you. But whatever. I'll skip that for the moment. What you want is in the worlds folder. Now, we only have one world in the server. Most of you guys are going to have one world. Even if you have another, it's still a one world server, right? There are ways to have multiple worlds running with portals between them, but that's a flippin' nightmare. So one world is all you need, right? Two files in here, groups and users. So the groups defines each group in the game and the commands they have available to them. Now I am going to, for instance, show you how mine works for reference. Well, I can do a new one too, but alright, so they have a lot of crap in here that I don't use for their. That's why I like mine better, actually. It's mine's a little simpler. Let's just look at mine. I'm sorry, this is a long video. I'm all over the place, but hopefully you're getting some information out of this. So, damn it. Draft Bukkit, and yeah, so plugins. As you see, I have a lot of plugins running. A lot of crap in here. iChat, economy, whatever. Into Group Manager, into the worlds, and my groups file. So on my server, I have 3 different levels, right? Resident, which is so how this works in this configuration file. It tells you the group category, and this is the actual group name. In this case, resident. Default is true. So when a player logs in for the first time, by default, if I haven't specified them explicitly as a moderator or an admin, they fall into this group. This is what all your players will be, unless you otherwise state it. And then the permissions they have. All these are all the permission nodes from Essentials. They can go AFK. They can use /back, /compass, get position, help, home, kit. And then, not just kit, but kit newcomer. So if I did kit, star, they can use any kit they wanted to, right? In this case, just kit newcomer. And they can do /kit. That's why there's 2 commands here. The first one, just kit, is for /kit, which they would get a list of all the kits available. And then, let's say they had newcomer and a veteran. Well, they can only actually do like a /kit newcomer to call that kit. So that's how those permissions work for those. List mail, mail.sign, all these permission nodes. Again, if you go back to that lovely command reference, these are all the things. So if you want your new players to be able to, use the whatever compass command, essentials.compass is in there, and booyah, there it is, essentials.compass. Again, spacing, yada yada yada. So those are all the essentials commands I've given my new players, right? And then they also have access to chat color. That's default. Economy, list, payment, rank. They can get item info in the economy shops as well as buy and sell. Buy lottery tickets, and then they can use all the MMO abilities, the chat commands, all the explicit skills, yada yada. This is actually gone now. I don't have these anymore. I didn't update the file. And then inheritance, there is no inheritance because this is the base block. It's not going to inherit any properties from anybody else. And then there's a prefix and a suffix color. So I don't have that. If you remember in the other file, I had a color for like admins as being like C, red. I don't do that. Everything's listed out here. So my guys, I think E, we said was white. I forget now, damn it. Yellow, excuse me. So by default, the prefix is yellow, and the prefix is actually the resident tag, and then they can build. and the suffix goes back to being the default 2, which again, I'm so bad at these colors. 2 is green. Build true is important. If you wanted, and some players do this, what they do is they have their default something like noob or untrusted. So if they don't want to whitelist in their server, if they want to have a server that's open to any schmuck in the world who can get their IP address, this is what I would do. I would have a default being true to a group called like noob, untrusted, something that stands out, right? When a player first comes onto your server and logs in, they'll fall into this group, and I would say build is false. I would give them nothing but like basic talk commands. This way they cannot log in grief. It's an anti-grief measure. Again, I use a whitelist. Players in my server have been vetted. They are not getting on randomly, so I don't worry about that, you know. But there's different ways to configure, and there's multiple ways to run these servers and set them up. Whatever works for you works for you. So I have probably a dozen or so moderators in my server, and that's the next level up, right? So I have resident, moderator, and then of course I have the actual admin. Moderator is in vanilla Minecraft. You have ops, and you have everybody else. A moderator is kind of splits the ops in half. So we have moderators and we have admins. Admins are the true ops of the server, right? Moderators are almost there. These moderators, I list all their commands. So moderators get inheritance. By default, they get every command resident gets. But sometimes I found that it doesn't work properly, and I kind of I'm just cutting and pasting anyways. So I'll list a lot of the same commands in here anyways, just because it gets funky. But these guys also, the moderators, can do the jailing and change the spawn positions. And one of the things I found was that my new players, I love them to death, but a lot of these guys were teleporting like crazy. They, hey, let's go see what RB West is doing. Let's go see what the mods are doing. And some of my players didn't want to be bothered. They want to be able to just chill and do their own thing, and they don't want their creations being shown until they're done. And so it was getting annoying for some people to have these tag-alongs constantly, or you're on a ledge building a bridge and somebody warps to you and knocks you off. Real pain in the ass. So by default, my players cannot just teleport to you, or they cannot teleport you to them. The TP here command, what they have as a new player, back to the residents here, is TPA, which asks. It's a teleport ask and teleport accept. So Joe Schmo wants to come see what I'm doing. He does /TPA boolscap, and then I get a message saying Joe Schmo wants to teleport to you. I can do a /TP accept or a TP deny. It just keeps my privacy a little bit. It's nice. My moderators I trust a little more. They're not going to come just popping around like jackasses, unless, so they can do a regular TP. That's the difference there. They also can do a TP accept and all that stuff, but I trust them. I give them the ban commands and different things. Your moderators can never ban you. You have access to the console, the actual DOS window. You can always get back on. So don't ever worry about that. Even ban IP, you're back on the console again. You can get around this stuff. So my guys get a little extra bonus commands and everything the residents have as well. I've changed their prefix to B, which is light blue, maybe. I'm so bad with colors. I think I know this by heart by now. Light blue. Hey, score. And then after the prefix, it defaults back to green for the suffix. And then you have admin. Again, default is false. You're not going to be an admin to log into the server. Permissions, big fat asterisk. That means everything. It's a wild card. Every permission I get is an admin, which really isn't that different from these guys. There's a couple commands I have access to that they don't get to play with. Most of these things that could be griefed, and not that my guys really grief, but even my mods get bored at times, and sometimes the jokes go too far, and they're zapping people, whatever the case may be. The biggest difference is that I can do things like changing plugin configurations on the fly, and doing server backups and server saves, and stopping the server. Going back to what I said before, if you're using default Minecraft and you have a trusted friend who is in the ops file, they have the stop command on the command line. They can stop your whole server right then and there. So it's kind of scary. That's just much nicer and safer, I think. And again, the admins on our server have a whole different color code for their names. I think it's dark red, 9, blue, whatever. So that's the configuration layout for that, right? So that breaks down the different groups and what they can do. Now, once that is done, what am I saving? I'm not saving anything. When that's done, the next thing is to define who falls into those groups. Okay, So looking back to my server again, obviously myself and my wife, and I don't know how this orders it, but so Foolscap is an admin. I don't use subgroups at all. I haven't had a reason to yet. There are ways. You could have a group called Builder and a subgroup Miner, Logger, Farmer, and give them different permissions and different kits they could use. It's a little complex, but if you got heavily into the role-playing server, had a big enough server, you can go those routes. I don't care about that, but so myself, of course, I'm an admin. My wife in here somewhere is an admin as well. I have quite a few moderators. I also have players in my server, for instance. Navy guy's a great example. Navy has a hard on for being a cop. So he made a police station on my server, and I let him, players to get out of line, he can put them in jail. Jail locks them in an area they can't build. I don't think they can talk really. They're stuck there temporarily. I didn't want to make him a moderator at the time because he was kind of new to the server, but I figured these commands he could have, as long as he didn't abuse them. So I didn't put him into a group, but I gave him explicit permissions here. The reason, just outside of being I could have made a whole new group in my server, called it Police Officer, and gave him these permissions on. This is a little quicker and easier. Same thing with Shadow of Doom. He paid enough money to buy a player-run shop in my server, so I explicitly gave him. He's a moderator actually, but again, I don't want to make a whole new freaking group for people who own shops. It gets too crazy, so I just listed out his permission there. The empty brackets, it's not being used. It doesn't mean fill it in. It's just a little confusing at first. If you actually put a value in there, you make it a new line, tabbed in, not tabbed in, but a white space didn't look like anything else. And RB West gets Thunder joined because he recently won a competition. And a couple of my guys have Big Brother access. And it's all it comes down to. It's just different permissions. So this is nice to grant specific user permissions. And for the groups, all my moderators are listed in here. Anybody who's not in this file with the moderator tag falls into the default group, and they have default permissions unless of course something is specified explicitly. And that's how you get your permissions set up. It'll take you quite a bit of time to list things out, and like I said, don't take it lightly. When you give permissions out, people are gonna push the limits. I don't care who they are, how mature they are, how trusted they are. They're gonna push the limits over time. So make sure you're not giving them too much access. At the same time, give them some trust. So that's group users, and then that's really it. Essentials GeoIP. It downloads this DAT file off the internet. If you don't want this enabled, boom, you can just turn it off real easily with those right there. I think it's kind of fun. That's just me. I think that's all your configuration. So everything's set up here. Let's I didn't change the essentials for this server because I'm not going to, but at the very least, I'll tell you what, if you don't put yourself as an admin, actually, let me back up 1 second. Earlier I told you about the ops text file. I can override that, and I haven't changed the essentials file for this version of the server. I put my name in this thing right here, and I override everything. I figured this out the hard way. I have my moderators in here from a long time ago. Some of these guys were able to stop the server still, even though they didn't have permissions in the essentials files, because this right here is base Minecraft file. It overrides those plugins, so watch out for that. Definitely watch out for that. Take that out for the moment. And that's most everything. Like I said, once you have everything configured and stuff, relaunch that bad boy. It'll come through. Hopefully everything runs smoothly. Nothing vomits at that. Boom, 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 boom. You're up and running. Awesome. Cool. Let's connect to my server. Let's hope that everything's all hunky-dory. Let's see what it looks like. Why is my Minecraft being a pain in the butt today? Come on, dude. Really. This is a long video, too. I'm sorry. I tend to go the roundabout ways for things. I got 2 versions up, no wonder. So let's see what's happening on the server when I log in too. This is kind of nice just for debugging and troubleshooting. So we log in, cool. We go multiplayer and localhost just to bypass my port forwarding internal network. Boom. Wow. All right. So. creating empty config file for foolscap, Bukkit server. So this is my user data. When I set my own spawn, I'm sorry, when I set my home file, different things, it'll be in this file. And here it tells you foolscap logged in, my IP address, in this case it's a loop back from my local host, port number, whatever, and my location in the game. I guess we don't have geolocation on. Should we not turn it on? I guess not. So it's not telling me anything. But for me, the welcome message for the first time right there is in pink, or purple, whatever color that is. The next is the actual welcome message from the help file. So there's two separate ones the first time you log in. The one in purple is the new player welcome message, telling everybody to welcome to the server. The next like 5 lines are all the ones that were in the essentials message of the day. So if I do a /motd, I can't. Oh, I can. Okay, great. It tells you back here. It's kind of nice too. If you want to see what your players, who are doing crazy commands. The player logs in who's new, and he's like trying to spawn items and just do crazy shit. You'll see it back here. Kind of nice. And so all those things I put in there, awesome. Help file tells me so. Oh, what /help do? Cool. Oops. I do /help. I have 14 commands. Wow, I have a lot of commands for this server. That's amazing. Probably because permissions are all messed up right now. We didn't go through them really properly, but /rules, I can't do that. Go figure. Did I save that file as me as an operator? I did. Oh, no wonder I have all these commands. Oops, my bad. Oops. If I said that, well, actually save, it did. Okay, great. Let's do a reload. Oh, god damn it. So that was reloaded. If I do a help now, why is it not doing that? It's kind of annoying. I've done something wrong. Let me just disconnect and reconnect. I shouldn't have all those help files. I'm not a damn operator. Or maybe I am. I didn't look at the default permissions, so whatever. It's all good. Let's do, wow. What are these default permissions? You might want to, those of you doing a first-time Bukkit server, you might want to make sure these are set properly. This default group manager. These are like generic default users. They don't belong in here. So I should be in the default group. I shouldn't have. Why aren't we using kill the server real fast? I'm curious now. I was in that ops file when the server first ran, so let's run it again. I should be out of there now, right? Yeah, I shouldn't have those permissions by default. There we go. Okay, yeah. This is what I was telling you earlier. When the server first launched, I was in the ops file, so I was given full admin ops. Even though I saved it and reloaded the server from the console, it didn't change those permissions. The server had to be relaunched. So now I'm back to actually, I have limited command. That's how it should be. So always be cautious. I've tried to do updates on the fly on the server, and it's always better, I think, if you're doing permissions and YML files to stop things and bring it back up. That's my little tip. So, all right, I don't feel so crazy now. Great. Excellent. So that's going to cut this video for the moment. Let's get your basic essentials up. Like I said, I could talk for hours into the different sub things, but that's the majority of it. I might do videos in the future for like economy, different things. If you guys have need for it, just let me know what you want. So that's it for now. Thanks, guys.